Breaking tonight. After 3 nights of unrest, 114 people injured and more than $91 million reduced to ash, it is clear that Britain is no longer witnessing protest. It is facing collapse. November 5th, 2025. 8:42 p.m, Belfast city centre. The Union Jack does not fly above the streets this evening. It burns. Across Northern Ireland, 37 migrant hotels are now ablaze. More than 100,000 people have poured into the streets, not only in Belfast but in London, Derry, Antrim and Newcastle. This is the largest civil uprising the United Kingdom has seen in more than a decade, and Westminster remains conspicuously silent. The pattern is not random. It is deliberate. The targets migrant accommodation sites, government-funded facilities costing taxpayers $189 per person per night. The King's Crown Hotel in Lisbon alone drains nearly $7.8 million annually. Tonight it stands as nothing more than charred debris and twisted metal. At Belfast's High Street Hotel, police form a wall of riot shields as fires tear through what once housed 230 asylum seekers. Fire officials report 19 confirmed arson attacks within a single day. Derry, Lisbon, Ballymena, one after another. Each name becomes a headline, each city a battleground. In East Belfast, a young nurse, Sophie Mallister, stands outside her flat, live streaming to thousands. Rain runs down her coat, but she stays rooted in place. My rent went up 41% this year, she says, her voice unsteady. They tell me there's no money for healthcare, no money for housing, no money for us, but there's money for this. Her camera turns toward the distant glow of another blaze. Within 6 hours, her video reaches 3.2 million views, and the reaction online is unmistakable. The frustration is real and widespread. She is not the only one speaking out. An elderly veteran, Thomas Reid, walks past the smouldering remains of the King's Crown Hotel, a Union Jack draped over his shoulders. His eyes are tired, but his voice remains firm. I fought for this country, he tells the cameras surrounding him. I bled for this flag, but I don't recognise this place anymore. By evening, every major network is running that clip on repeat. Sky News, BBC, all of them. Because what we are seeing is no longer mere anger. It is disillusionment, a profound sense of betrayal. A generation that helped build this nation now watching it fracture in real time. And across the country, the question grows louder. Where is Westminster? Instead of leadership, the public receives silence. Silence padded with bureaucracy. At 9 p.m, a leaked, encrypted memo from the Home Office surfaces, a document never meant to reach public eyes. 4 words buried in its 3rd paragraph shift the tone entirely. Northern Command overstretched, reserve units requested, emergency protocols activated, political approval pending. That approval never arrived. And by 10:27 p.m, the consequences are immediate and devastating. The first wave of demonstrators reaches Parliament grounds in London. Thousands push forward. Barricades fold. Metal fencing drops like dominoes. Police deploy tear gas for the first time since the 2013 riots. Reporters describe the moment with one phrase, a heartbeat of panic. The relentless thud of boots, batons and bodies colliding in the dark. At 10:45 p.m, Downing Street issues a statement. Not a plan, not a strategy, simply 3 lines of political sedation. The Prime Minister condemns the violence. Public safety remains our priority. Dialogue must continue, but dialogue rings hollow when entire streets are burning. Dialogue ended the moment the first hotel went up in flames. It ended when Sophie's rent doubled and her hospital lost critical funding. It ended when Thomas Reid understood that the nation he fought for no longer appeared willing to fight for him. Behind the scenes, the intelligence assessments paint a far darker picture. MI5's regional desk is now tracking 52 encrypted communication channels, actively coordinating real-time crowd movements across 6 cities. The channels shift hourly, moderators operate behind VPNs, and messages vanish automatically. Police drones over Belfast are jammed twice in half an hour. Cellular towers in Coleraine have been destroyed. By midnight, a Cabinet Office memo leaked to The Guardian delivers a stark warning. Containment impossible, public mood volatile, recommend immediate intervention or risk systemic collapse. Systemic collapse is not a phrase that appears in government documents unless the structure itself is already compromised. By 11 p.m, energy analysts flag severe disruptions. Oil depots in Belfast and Larne face blockades from civilian vehicles. Fuel convoys are rerouted. Distribution networks are severed within 2 hours. Fuel availability across Northern Ireland plunges by 19%. Hospitals switch to backup generators. Ambulance fleets begin rationing diesel, while government officials are still drafting statements. As midnight settles, a sobering truth emerges. This crisis is no longer confined to the streets. It has erupted across social media. One phrase consumes every trending list. Britain on fire. Within 12 hours, it reaches 64 million impressions, surpassing the 2024 general election, the Queen's funeral, and every major political moment of the past decade. This is no longer a hashtag. It is a movement. Videos circulate of riot officers kneeling before crowds. Captions read, "We serve the people, not the politicians." In some clips, officers remove their helmets in solidarity. In others, they are visibly in tears. The thin blue line, a symbol of order, is beginning to fracture. And an unspoken question hangs over Westminster. If the police stop defending the government, who will? By dawn, the economic damage is unmistakable. Consumer confidence drops 8% overnight. Retail markets shed $1.2 billion in a single session. Flight bookings from Belfast to Dublin surge by 46%. When citizens start leaving their own country in search of a weekend's peace, the statistics aren't simply numbers. They are a diagnosis. At 11:55 a.m, November the 6th, the cameras focus on Westminster. The nation waits. Prime Minister Keir Starmer steps to the podium holding a single sheet titled National Stability Address. He clears his throat and begins. My government condemns the violence in Northern Ireland and reaffirms our commitment to unity. There is no reference to the migrant hotel contracts, no acknowledgement of MI5 warnings, no mention of Sophie Thomas or the millions who feel ignored. Just the familiar cadence of political tranquilizers, steady, practiced and detached from the reality unfolding outside. Reporters call out from the back of the room, Prime Minister, will you suspend the asylum hotel programme? Will you visit Belfast? Do you accept responsibility for this crisis? He offers no reply. Instead, he turns, walks away and the broadcast cuts to black, while outside the unrest only intensifies. By nightfall on November 6th, the scale of the damage is undeniable. 142 injured, 53 arrested, $91 million in property losses, and 27 police officers in hospital. Public confidence in government sits at 22%, or an all-time low. Foreign media adopt a phrase that strikes at the heart of Westminster's credibility: the Starmer collapse. In Brussels, a European diplomat speaking off the record to Reuters delivers a blunt assessment. Britain once exported stability, now it exports chaos. This is what happens when governments stop listening. CNN airs a segment titled, Is Britain Ungovernable? Al Jazeera asks, has the UK lost control? Internationally, the perception is clear. The world is watching a country in flames. But beyond the headlines and the extraordinary images, another reality is unfolding, one that the cameras rarely capture. In the side streets of Belfast, far from the flashpoints, something quieter and profoundly human is taking place. People who stood on opposite sides of barricades only hours earlier are now handing blankets through shattered windows. A young migrant woman, still shaken from the fire that nearly killed her, helps an elderly shopkeeper lift his fallen sign back into place. No grand speeches, no political declarations, just individuals doing what government institutions seem to have forgotten, caring for one another. At a small church near Donegal Square, volunteers light candles for the injured. Catholic, Protestant, migrant, lifelong local, every flame the same size, the same stubborn glow. For all its wounds, The city still knows how to hold itself together when no one else will. Outside the charred remains of the King's Crown Hotel, a teacher named Eileen writes a sentence on the scorched wall. "Forgiveness builds what fury burns." By morning, that simple line has spread across every major platform, drawing more engagement than any clip of the riots, more than any statement issued by a politician. Because even amid collapse, people instinctively understand what truly matters. The question is not whom we blame, but what we choose to become afterward. Britain is a nation shaped by reconstruction. From rubble to rooftops, from the Blitz to renewal, from war to welfare. Each time the country has burned, it has rebuilt itself, not through directives from Westminster, but through the resolve of ordinary citizens who refuse to surrender. So perhaps tonight's fires are not the end of something, but the beginning of a question we have avoided for too long. How much anger does it take for a nation to remember empathy? The flames will fade, they always do. The buildings will rise once more. But the lesson written into the smoke above Belfast will remain, etched into the memory of an entire generation. Strength is not measured by control nor by force. It's measured by the compassion that endures long after the chaos has died down. So the question facing Britain tonight is simple and unavoidable. Is this unrest merely another riot, or is it a national reckoning? Is this the point where the system buckles, or the moment the country finally wakes up? Are we defined by the flames, or by the citizens who quietly pass blankets through shattered windows? The public will decide that answer, not the pundits, not the ministers, not the spin rooms. And in an environment where so much is filtered, curated and contested, your voice remains one of the few things left untouched by the machinery of political messaging. If you believe facts still matter, if you believe this country deserves more than silence and strategic ambiguity, stay with us, because Britain has opened its eyes, and the next chapter, for better or for worse, will be shaped by what we choose to see.